No one is illegal on stolen land. Those were the words of Billie Eilish, one of the richest and most privileged people on Earth, speaking at an award ceremony specifically for a gathering of the richest and most privileged people on Earth. A ceremony put on seemingly near solely and singularly to demonstrate to everyone else just how far apart from the peasantry that the rich and the famous truly are. But in an amusing little turnaround, it turns out that Billie Eilish's own home lies on the ancestral lands of the Tongva tribe, who said, "We appreciate the opportunity to provide clarity regarding the recent comments made by Billie Eilish. As the first people of the greater Los Angeles basin, we do understand that her home is situated in our ancestral lands," they stated, adding that the A-lister has not reached out to the tribe herself. Wow. What a silly mistake. I'm sure she'll get right on that, no doubt about it. Eilish has not contacted our tribe directly regarding her property. We do value the instances when public figures provide visibility to the true history of this country, the spokesperson continued. Well, unfortunately, the Tongva tribe do not possess the resources with which to immediately move in and recolonize their lost ground as its rightful inhabitants. However, fear not, for in our time of need, a hero is rising, as a brave Australian individual has declared his intent to travel to California, a dangerous task in and of itself, to go live with Billie Eilish. Whom I am sure will be deeply welcoming of his presence, presuming, of course, that he manages to get past the one massive wall, the interior fence, the second interior fence, and then the walled-off house, of course, with, may I add, yet another fence, just for a little bit of extra privacy, in case, I don't know, somebody was using X-ray goggles to stare through her private stable. Again, you can see how the Tongva tribe will find this a challenging colonization effort because, frankly, Billie Eilish has fortified her home to a greater extent than the Tongva tribe ever did California. Furthermore, she has also proven significantly more aggressive with people who violate her territory, as Billie Eilish is the proud owner of no less than 5 restraining orders of varying degrees of success. So, unfortunately, our brave Australian hero is probably going to run into some problems with colonizing the land here. As, whilst no one is illegal on stolen land, about half a dozen individuals are most assuredly so illegal on Billie Eilish's land. But, I mean, this is simply just progressivism, isn't it? If anything, if in 2026 we still somehow have some sort of misconception as to the fact that progressivism is an utterly, completely principless movement, then what the hell have we been doing these last few years? It should be a point as utterly and completely uncontroversial as that the sun rises in the morning, or that the sky is blue, or that pigs do indeed not fly, at least not frequently and not without added propulsion systems at the very least. But the amusing thing here, of course, comes in the form that this is a wonderful example of progressivism using virtue as a weapon, only ever as a weapon. It is never a shield. It is never intended to defend their actions or imbue them with logic or reason or anything along those lines. It is solely and singularly a cudgel to be used against you. As the closest thing that progressivism has to a principle, at least, is simply me, 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 and oh, guess what? More me. as progressivists only ever do anything to benefit themselves. Billie Eilish is a beautiful example of that. A woman that loudly and proudly declares that your house will take up as many illegals as we can possibly fit in it. Your yard will be seconded to the government to pitch little tents in which Mexican families will live. But her property, well, as you can see, she's already built the walls to keep them out. And there was another funny example of this as well. So, ICE agents come in many colors and genders. In this particular occasion, it came in the form of a black man. And so people gathered around him shouting, well, the term I used in the Gnoblar video many years ago, which we are no longer allowed to repeat on YouTube. Now, fortunately, whilst I may not possess the editing skills with which to make this YouTube safe, I do know somebody who does, so let's look at Asmongold's reaction to this, shall we?
So there was an anti-ICE protester. The ICE officer didn't know the person's gender. Because of that, they call him the N-word.
And that is true.
Rip people apart from their family.
Are you a man?
Wow, is that a question?
Yes, that was a question. And honestly, a fairly reasonable one as well. Okay, so this is the individual in question. Can you, honestly, to my face, tell me that you would be happy to immediately identify this person's gender, bearing in mind what usually happens when you misgender one of these freaks? In fact, I'm pretty sure it's actually a crime in significant portions of America, and since this is Minneapolis, you probably do want to ask the question, is this a man? I mean, I can sort of see it. The hairdo, especially in areas of Minneapolis, etc., is somewhat masculine by the Californian standard. Now, the face as well is a pinch more on the feminine side, but that's hardly evidence of anything these days. And then there's the massive scarf across their face. I guess it's just really cold outside. Either that or they have something to be worried about because they're doing something, oh, I don't know, blatantly illegal, like interfering with official agent activities, as you can of course hear the whistles in the background too.
Wow.
Nuclear.
Yes.
I need to move your house.
Nuclear.
I do love his expression too. You can very clearly tell that he's looking at her like, what? And again, this is what I want to talk about here. Virtue is a weapon to the progressive. It is never a shield, it is never a defense, it is a tool of offense. So here's a guy who wishes to attack this person, and so he reaches for the word that he believes to be most likely to provoke him into action, which is why you have dozens of people standing around filming. They are attempting to antagonize the ICE officers into doing anything that they can then upload onto social media. Dropping the hard R is entirely acceptable in this moment from the progressivist leftist worldview. To them, it is, in the eternal words of Vorsh, the horse lover, I drop the hard R as a power move. Again, the progressives have no principles, they have no rules, they have no firm doctrine, ideology, or anything like that beyond winning at your expense.
What the fuck's wrong with you people? Did he say sir?
Sir, I need to move your house.
Nuclear.
So he misgenders this
I mean,
person, and then they call him the N-word with the hard R.
Listen, he asked if it was a male. The person didn't answer, the she or he did not answer, so he's simply making an assumption. Sir, could you step away from the vehicle?
Frick frame, what the f*** with you people? What's wrong with you people?
Why are you calling a woman a man?
They just, sir, I need you to move.
Why are you calling a woman a man? Ah, I guess this is one of the rare progressives that have a definition for woman. Hey, Maybe there's still some hope for them left.
Oh God.
What kind of a guy does that?
What kind of a guy does it? Imagine being the person that, like, you think that not respecting a person's pronouns is equivalent to calling a black person the N-word with the hard
Of course.
R. They're not using it as if it's like a rap song or they're joking around. You're literally using it like an actual slur.
Yes.
Clear.
Again.
And then they throw shit at them. Again. The simple fact here is, this is not a principled position. They don't actually believe that the hard R is a bad word, so long as they are using it against you. They have no actual objection against the word, or the term, or its history, or its implications, or any of that nonsense. All of that is simply just window dressing. It is additional fluff which they can use against you as another form of virtuous offensive. That is all it is. And so if they find themselves in a position where a black man is acting contrary to their agenda, well, guess what, sir? You're back in the 1800s now, and better go out in the field and obey your betters. And that is the exact same thing that we see from Billie Eilish here. She is using this as a weapon. Nobody's illegal on stolen land, she says, because she knows this will not affect her. She's already built her walls. She already has security. In fact, she's already using the judicial system. She claims to be powerless specifically to keep people away from not just her land, but her as an individual. She's already made more people criminals than the average person will in their entire livelihood, okay? And that is perfectly okay. I guarantee you, Billie Eilish has dozens of justifications for why this is entirely normal, normal, virtuous, and in no way in violation of any sort of principles, because she doesn't possess any. Now, in the case of Billie Eilish, I don't even think she understands the ramifications and the reasons behind all of this. I simply think she's a stupid, can't say that word on YouTube, woman. I can still use that word, presumably. Because it is about you. You must sacrifice. This is the same example where we saw with Martha's English vineyard, for example, where suddenly one of the southern states who keep receiving massive numbers of refugees, quote unquote, decided, I wonder what would happen if we put a bunch of them on an airplane and flew them off to a Democrat stronghold like Martha's Vineyard. And guess what? Suddenly, people were very much so illegal. They were very much so not on stolen, but actually owned land. They had property there. They had gated communities. And then, within days, police forces showed up in full strength to bust the Browns the heck out of there. Once more, it should not shock you by 2026 that the progressives are literally absolutely free and unhindered by any sort of principle. It should, however, still amaze you to a degree how happy they are to use it as a weapon. Again, there is no such thing as a sacred cow here. They will utilize whatever they can because they are desperate to make these people the villains. The people enforcing the law are to them the villains. Any terminology, any action, any provocation that they can carry out is by its very own nature and existence virtuous in these situations. So, yes, it is absolutely possible, indeed, it is impossible for it not to be thus, that in a certain situation, if uttered by an individual of sufficient purity, that the hard R becomes a good word, becomes an act of virtue, and indeed, insurrection. Against the powers that be, of course. Now, I am at the very least glad that this is continuing, as I hope, if anything, that the pace in Minneapolis is stepped up, because it is annoying all the correct people. Indeed, on the off chance that Billie Eilish might actually possess some shadow of a principle, as she is not a full leftist yet, I do believe that I should probably have a quick visit to the property and see if she is honest about what she's saying, if she is indeed living her principles. If she is, well, it should be a fantastic harvest for the immigration authorities. And if she isn't, well, nothing else. It would be a funny news story, wouldn't it? Headline: Billie Eilish has 0 immigrants on her property. Just an idea. I am Tongwa. I do believe I am. I stand with the Tongwa people in this, in their quest to reclaim stolen land. Because, well, I feel like Billie Eilish should be given the right to define the nature of her own property. If it is indeed not conquered, if it is indeed not American soil, well, the Tongwa people claim it, so get a flag, Billie, or move out. Until next time, I've been Arch. Thank you very much for watching. I do hope to see you all again soon. Till then, have a good day.